back again. More technical difficulties, but I'm okay now. Just trying to get my arms around everything. Right now, the move in index futures is to the downside. The NASDAQ, the Russell, the S&P, are all drifting lower. I'm thinking I like the euro here for a short, actually. Forming a bearish stochastic crossover. I keep in mind I said forming. Oh, look at that. Nice catch. So these dashed lines if you were watching earlier, you would have seen me draw them on this chart. This was the most recent bottom here. We're below that. This was this bottom here, just broke through that. So the next target is going to be this kind of midpoint here from this rise up. The yellow dashed line is just the midpoint of yesterday's move. So that's where the pivots are calculated from. So R1 is here. S1 is down here. R1 being the first resistance point, S1 being the first point of support. This bar closes in 30 seconds, so we'll get confirmation of a downward move. Euro is building value lower. Which is interesting because we've been building value steadily higher. This could be trade war concerns. And we already know what the European Central Bank is going to do tomorrow, at least we think we do. There's not going to be a change in rates. I'm sure there will be conversations. He'll be asked. Mario Draghi, sorry, the chief of the European Central Bank or president, whatever his title is. I'm sure he'll be asked about tariffs and trade wars. In the grand scheme of things, in the big picture, I would not expect any kind of an announcement tomorrow that the European Central Bank has put a stake in the ground on a date to exit stimulus. The Japanese statement was when inflation hits our target of 2, which should be around April 2019. Now, Wilbur Ross is saying we're not trying to blow the world up. No one says that. Wall Street should be afraid of what Trump does next after Cohen's departure. Now, I've read, this is the headline right here. Evidently, there's some scuttlebutt going around, or rumors going around that maybe Larry Kudlow might be picked to replace Gary Cohn. I love Gary Kudlow. I think he's great. I'd love to see him in that role. I'd hate to think of what that role would do to him. That administration is it's a meat grinder. I would not wish that upon anybody. Here, Trump is saying that the White House asked China for a plan to reduce the U.S. trade deficit by $1 billion. That's never going to happen. Okay, are we frozen here? Because I'm not seeing anything. There we go. Okay, well, it's a little after 9:30. Probably going to stop the stream. I know I just started it back up again, but I will be back at 1:30 Eastern Time. Right now, in the cash markets, the Dow's down 0.7%. The NDX, the Nasdaq 100 is down 0.3%. The composite's down almost 0.2%. The S&P is down a little shy of 0.5%, and the Russell is the winner today. It's up 22 basis points. Volatility on the S&P and the Russell are both up 3%, and the futures themselves are down. Not quite the same measure, but the Dow, Nasdaq, and S&P futures are down. The Russell futures are up. Dollar index is up 14 basis points. The yield on the 10-year note is flat, or at least the index. And 10-year note futures are up 3 basis points. So that's going to do it for the morning session, and I'll see you back here in a couple hours. Thanks for tuning in, folks.